Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another interview in the It's Possible project. This is Shannon. I want you to meet Shannon. Shannon is an amazing, amazing human with a huge heart who lives in Oregon, and she's an occupational therapist, right, OT?
Yep.
So we have some short videos and we have some long videos, and not that this is long, but it's a little bit longer one. The whole purpose of It's Possible project is simply one thing and one thing only, one beautiful, small yet mighty intention. That's just to share with you that it's possible. And our brain, as you learn in the work that is Nuario, we only have access to past experience. So when we want to create something new that we've never experienced before in our lives, our brain is the only thing that gets in the way and says it's not possible because I've never experienced it before. And if I have, well, it's going to fail because it failed before. So Shannon is, I've known this wonderful, beautiful human soul for some time now, and she is just a living, breathing example of what's possible, because there's so much that has changed in her life, and so much as I've just have continuous conversations with her of what's opening up. So Shannon, give us a quick little overview of where did you start and where are you at now? When you first started the journey of, you know, I could say Nuario education, but just in general in terms of your desire for more around habit change and you change, and where are you now?
Yeah. So when I started, I'll go with when I started Nuario because that's a concrete point in time. That was about, I think 2 years ago. I remember it was in the winter, so it must have been a couple years ago. And I had an infant child, and I was going back for maternity leave soon. And I knew in my bones that weight loss wasn't about habit change. Like, I just was like, there's something way more, because I've been struggling with this for so long, and it's the deeper levels. And I heard you talk about that like getting to the root, and I was like, yep, this is the thing that I need to do. So that time I was working in a school district as an employee and feeling like I was a new OT. I think I had only been an OT for like a year, and I was like just in like a whole sea of resistance now that I look back, where it was like I kept trying to make everything fit, and it was like, this is not right. Now what I know in my heart, my soul was like whispering, like, no, go in this way, go in this way. And so now, 2.5 years later, I own my own very successful business, more successful than I ever, like, literally ever thought I'd be in my life. I'm like, wait, what? I quit my job, and I literally, as soon as I quit my job, it was not like quit my job and just hope. It was sort of like I had some things lined up and I was going to go in this different direction. But as soon as I became available, the universe just sort of like gifted me all of these opportunities and all of these things. And so now I'm still following that thread and showing up and doing the work, but my life is completely different, like 100%. And so, and that's,
I love it.
all started from.
What would you say in this process? I know you picked this time and move forward, but what would you say have been your biggest lessons, like no more than 3, or top three lessons just about change in general that were most important for you?
Well, number one, first and foremost, is that you are not your brain. That I cannot overemphasize that. And then how deep that goes as you continue to understand that. And when the brain tries to put on different hats to pretend like it's your heart. And then also being easy about it. Those little stepping stones, and the understanding those thought habits of like the black and white thinking, and being able to identify like, oh, there's my brain doing that. Oh, there's my brain doing that. And how that's not really helpful and actually stops you from making change at all. And then let's see, what would be the third one?
There doesn't have to be 3. I was just kidding.
The third one is something I always think about, that the solution to anything never exists at the level of the problem. So,
oh, that's a good one.
You said that one time in the office hours, and it stuck with me. I actually still have it in a Post-it right up here in front of my head that is sort of like, okay, if there's a problem, then I'm not in my heart.
Oh yeah, riff a little bit more. Give us more words on that. So the solution never exists at the level of the problem.
So, I mean, how it's manifested for me is that if there's a problem, what we know is that there are really no problems. And so the problem is a thing the brain does to feel special so it can solve the problem. And then when you are able to use that understanding that this is my brain and that this feels different than my heart or anything else, and then sort of drop in or just go do something else, because oftentimes you just try to push through. It's like the brain identified a problem and it gets all excited, and then you waste time, hours, hundreds of hours I wasted in my life trying to solve problems that aren't really there, because the solution oftentimes isn't this straight head-on thing, or it's sort of like you can have a shift in your perception or understanding, and all of a sudden the problem isn't a problem anymore. It's just not there anymore. So there isn't anything to do about it.
Yeah, you see it completely differently.
Yeah, that's been really big, to just sort of, and to be able, and it takes so much practice, but to be able to notice it when you're in it and to be like, oh, this is my brain.
Are you still doing any meditating?
Yes. Yeah. Not as, obviously not as, I just actually have had that shift where it was sort of becoming a chore, like a thing to check off, and that's not helpful when it's like that. So
what would you say if, so when you first started, you said it was, what were you feeling? Stress, frustration, overwhelm? What were consistencies for you?
Overwhelm, stress, like a deep feeling of resistance and inadequacy, and just like, this cannot be all that there is. Like, I just knew this cannot be, I can't live my whole life like this. Like bouncing through, trying all of these different, now what I know, brain-based solutions, where it's like that just also didn't work, wasn't sustainable. And so
what would you tell someone who in front of you now, who 2 or 3 years later for you, what would you tell the you 2 or 3 years ago, feeling those feelings and those consistencies, that now based upon what you know now?
It's funny you ask that question, because it seems that people who are in that place are like calling me, my friends, or it's like somehow they know I've got some kind of like beacon on me. I'm not sure what it is, but I think just what I do say is, I just try to help them identify, like tune in, like this is your heart or your soul whispering to you that something is different. Something needs to go differently. And so I just try to help them slow down to hear, and usually always they have the answers.
Yes. Slow down. Slow the hell down.
Yeah. Like nothing is that important or that serious, like it really isn't. And it's so hard for people to understand that, because the brain has just hijacked them into this state of frenzy, and then the hormones are doing, and then the whole thing goes. Yeah, so they're in this. And so when you can take a deep breath, like literally just breathe, like
I love it.
Drop into, and often, and it's those stepping stones or those baby steps, like what, if you could do anything right now, what would you go do? And it's not usually like quit my job and write a book and start it, blah, blah, blah. It's usually like, I just want to go, just very simple stuff. And it's like, do that one thing, and then,
I love it. Shannon you're an amazing example of change and slowing down. Most people are just spinning so fast, and what we need to do first is slow the momentum of the thought energies that are creating those emotional, and just slow things down, because you're right, that's where the solutions exist. And so Shannon, do you want to just end? I'll put somewhere around the video when we share it, because you've moved into something totally totally amazing in terms of your own practice, making more money than you thought you would. Didn't know that that's where your heart would take you in the journey. And so what, you want to share with us a little bit about what you're doing now and where people can find you?
Yeah, I help, well, what I thought I was going to do and what I do is, my intention is to help people with intellectual or developmental disabilities, so autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, any other number of things, and more specifically their parents, because it's just in that slowing down. And as a parent of myself, I know that you just get so much shoulds, like the crappy list of shoulds coming at you all the time. So I really want to help people slow down to be able to hear their voice and then move forward in a way they want to with their children. And the IEP is Individualized Education Plan. It's this big thing you have to do with schools that's always really stressful. And so you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. It's just Shannon Wagner OTD.
Perfect. I'll make sure that link is there. So thank you so much for being an example of what's possible for all of us. And the way you follow your heart and slow things down is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for cracking that code for me.
Thanks for doing the work.